I'm here with Andrew Lewis, a starting strength coach that performed a study on coach pay at starting strength gyms versus the rest of the industry. And today we're going to talk about the median pay for head coaches, how it's over $75,000 annually for a less than full-time job, and how other gyms in the industry pay their people, and the career path that becoming a coach at one of our gyms offers people. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm
No,
excited
it's my
to
pleasure.
talk with you about what your findings were, and I think that you really helped us document the big picture of what's happening in the fitness industry, especially for strength coaches. So I'm excited to dive into this conversation with you for people who are looking into becoming coaches, personal trainers, and they're wondering if this career path is worthwhile for them. You definitely have the facts.
Yeah, and I think it was important work that needed to be done. I think there's a lot of people, especially younger people, getting out of high school, looking at what they want to do with their lives, and maybe personal trainer or strength coach is one of them, or maybe even someone not 18, a little later in their lives, who are looking at the career change and trying to figure out, well, if this is what they want, what is the best way to get there? And is it to go to school for exercise science? Is it to get a personal training certification? What's the whole thing? And it's really an article for someone at the very beginning of the process to look at, what do I need to know in order to make an intelligent decision to move forward.
And what kinds of facilities, what gyms did you survey? Who did you look at in comparison?
The primary ones I looked at were the starting strength gyms, Equinox, YMCA, 24-Hour Fitness, Snap Fitness, Gold's Gym, Anytime Fitness, LA Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, and Planet Fitness, of course. And
As long as it's got
had to
fitness in
include
the name, you know.
had to include Planet Fitness, yeah. And these are either commercial chain gyms or these are franchise gyms. And starting strength, of course, the gyms that we used for comparison on that were the franchise gyms specifically. So this would not include a starting strength coach who's opened their own gym. That was outside the scope of this study, and as well as a starting strength coach who is just coaching out of their home or out of a small facility, or even a big facility. Any non-starting strength gym is outside the scope.
So tell me a little bit about your findings. Give me some numbers for those who are looking at, to work for one of these chain gyms. What can they expect to earn? What did you find that you were able to document for us?
So I think the most logical way to answer that question is to address how I even began this, which was, if you want to work at one of these gyms, the question that I kept coming up with that had to be answered was, well, what are these people looking for? Because if you want to work for YMCA or 24-Hour Fitness or Snap Fitness as a personal trainer, my opinion on the topic is not relevant because I don't work for those places. So I needed to get a background on what did they want to see in an applicant. And what they want to see in an applicant are accredited certifications, the NAACA accreditation primarily, which is the accrediting body for a lot of the big personal training certifications like ACE, ISSA, NASM, those. And so I literally just called up a lot of these gyms and got to someone who was going to be able to answer these questions and asked, what certification do you recommend? What do you want to see in an applicant that you're talking to on their resume, or as you talk to them, what requirements do they need for them to be a viable candidate for you to have as a personal trainer? And what came up was a lot of different recommendations. The ones that were overwhelming were NASM, ISSA, and ACE. And all of those had more than a quarter of the time they were recommended. It's important to recognize that if you actually read this article, you'll see that in the notes that a lot of the people at the gyms had recommended more than one certification. So a lot of them had a preference, but then would accept some from different certifications. So if you look through the article, you'll notice that not everything sums up to 100% because it's based on the recommended number.
And do some of these gyms create their own certification? Does some of them require to be certified under their own?
No, I did not uncover. I did not talk to anyone who had nobody had their own independent certification that they were going to have people use. Now, what I did hear a lot of was, and I didn't quantify this, so I hesitate to say a lot or often, things like that. But what I did experience was people saying that they wanted a specific certification or would accept a number of certifications, but that they would also be doing on the job training with them, with the head coach, along with the applicant or the personal trainer that they were going to have. So that was not I would call a rare event that was discussed.
And give me a little bit, give us a little bit of, information on, what you found that maybe surprised you in terms of numbers, and, for people who are trying to make a decision on, what career path is correct for them and what might be the right career path financially, how they can support themselves, what they're looking towards in the future in terms of earning potential. What did you find, and what were some of the things that surprised you that you found?
So so there's a lot of questions there. Let's start with the actual data from the article, and then I'll speak a little more anecdotally. So outcomes. The most obvious thing was that almost no one is paying as well as the starting strength gyms. Okay, and that's just hearing the numbers. Equinox does a pretty darn good job, but they have a pretty low sample size. Not, I wouldn't say absurdly low for what I had seen on here. And a lot of this data is self-reported and brought on, or it's researched by the companies. Pay scale and Glassdoor, which is previous employees can say what they earned. And then they also use reciprocal research from the companies. So they do this quid pro quo where they'll send them data if they're a part of a pay system, and then they get data back in order to be a part of that system. And so they get pay data from that. So Equinox seems to be pretty on par with the main SS gym coaching position, not the head coach. The head coaches are making an insane amount compared to anyone else in the industry.
At starting strength,
making 45 at the starting strength gym. Yes, the head coach is making $45, $44 in that range. And these are means and medians. So keep in mind that some people are making more than that as head coaches at the starting strength gyms, which is almost double what even the next personal trainer is making at any of the other locations. So that was, I kind of knew, I knew kind of what that was going to be going into it. So that wasn't particularly surprising, but it is, to see it on paper is jarring compared to all the other data where you see everyone else is making basically less than $18 an hour.
Wow.
The lowest of which is 10 to 12 for Planet Fitness. So quite a stark difference. And $45 an hour, you can make a living on that. You can have a family on that. That's it's viable as a career opportunity. In terms of things I was surprised about uncovering, the interest in the personal trainers or the personal training certifications I was very surprised at the number of gyms that did not care about the NSCA or the CSCS. The CSCS of the NSCA. The NSCA is the certifying body. The CSCS is the personal training certification itself. They've held themselves at the gold standard as the hardest to achieve. They require a bachelor's degree in order to even be applicable, even be able to apply to get this certification, even to test. And that's a full 4-year degree. Now, it doesn't have to be related to exercise. You could get a bachelor's in pretty much anything, which they are changing in 2030, I believe. it has to be relevant to exercise. But I was very surprised that only 4 out of the 30 gyms I had talked to had even mentioned NSCA. That was very surprising.
Yes, because we always, Rip always says at the seminars how he always asks, raise your hand if you've had the, which certification you've had, if you've had the CSCS, and a bunch of people raise their, hand, and then raise your hand if you've ever, gotten a phone call or gotten a job because of your
Mhm.
certification, and nobody raises their hand at the seminar. It's his, it's a move he does every seminar. And then he asks the coaches in the room, you know, how many of you are coaches and how many of you get phone calls, weekly, about, inquiries, and
Yeah.
yourself, right? You
And
work
that's
and
and that's a great segue because and I wish I had asked this earlier in the process. And so the denominator of the number of people that I'd asked this question was a little lower. But the people I had talked to who actually were personal trainers, I primarily talked to managers.
Mhm.
But the people who were actual personal trainers or had personal training certifications. So I was able to talk to 6 people who had actually had certifications and were able to respond to this question, because like I said, I had brought it up until later in the study process or in the research. 6 people had certifications, and of the ones I asked, not one of them had been ever called as a direct result of their certification. Now, I know talking to them that they had gotten calls, inquiries for running a gym and for being in a gym. And that's a little different. As a result of being in the certifying body's database, they had never been reached out to, as far as they were aware. The question itself seemed a little odd to many of them.
Mm.
And I can tell you, I talked to a couple starting strength coaches at random. I had asked 7 to make the number comparable, and again, completely at random. I just went through the database and the coaches directory, put them all in Excel because I had the sheet prior, and then just randomized it and
Great.
picked 7. And only one of them had not gotten a call in the past 30 days.
Mhm.
And so I just asked them the question, how many times have you been contacted in the last 30 days because of your starting strength credential?
Mhm.
And the mean of that was 3.1 in the past 30 days. Only one person had 0. One person had 7.
Wow, I guess it's
And
location based too.
yes. And I know the person who was a 0 or had 0 was also working out of a larger gym,
Mhm.
with other starting strength coaches.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of the reasoning behind, or that was the mechanism behind that sort of explains potentially why they didn't get much interest. They're just going to go to the gym if you see
Yeah.
them, in the name. But you can make a valid argument.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't the same be true of um, the people I called? The personal trainers who had certifications.
Mhm.
Maybe they look them up, they see, oh, this person's a Snap Fitness, cool. I'll just talk to them and call them up and ask for Jeff. So
Mhm.
that's a definitely a limitation you could propose that would explain that. But I can tell you that in the last week, 3 people have asked for my coaching services because I'm a starting strength coach.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that side is irrefutable.
Yes, absolutely. It's something that, when I speak to a lot of people who want to become apprentices, and one of the things that they do bring up is they say to me, I know that starting strength is legit because I found my coach, just
Yeah.
because I was seeking out a starting strength coach, and they watch their coach work and run a successful business and coach people doing the thing that they love. They're doing the job that they love, which is coaching for a living,
Hmm.
coaching part-time compared to the kinds of jobs that they would have to take if they were using these credentials that are a dime a dozen, and then they'd have to hold down multiple shifts just to try to scrape together a decent living. And we've got people who it's very easy to see when you come in the presence of a starting strength coach that they're doing what they love, that they're experts in their field, and that they're not short on business. And
Yeah.
people seek you out because of the name. And now with starting strength gyms, it's a whole new world of opportunity that's opened up because the gyms are designed, specifically for the use of the starting strength method. And so the people are, customers and members are coming into an environment where they're seeking out a starting strength coach, and they're specifically seeking out a gym because they want a particular training environment that's, suitable for the skill of barbell training. And they're looking for the specialty of being able to teach starting strength. And so, people are making a really good living with this. This isn't just some sort of personal trainer part-time business that people do on the side. This is a full-time career for people who are
Mhm.
passionate about coaching. And I was excited to see that the thing that we kind of knew intuitively, because we were living it and we were coaches ourselves and we were doing well, but I was very happy to see that you did that research, and it kind of reinforced what we're seeing for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think you made a lot of great points there, and I think the other thing that we haven't really talked about yet is that it's not that if you want to be a personal trainer, it's not obvious that the starting strength coaching credential is going to be superior to everything else for your current scenario, and we can get to that in a little bit. But there's a lot of people who think this industry is about passion. This industry is not about money. Like, you can't make money
Mm-hmm.
being a strength coach,
Mm-hmm.
which is just not true. Is it hard? Yeah, but a lot of things are hard that are worth doing. And I don't care how passionate you are. If you're working 80 hours a week, that passion is going to run dry really quickly.
Yes.
And if you're hungry, that passion is going to run dry really quickly. There's a painter, Bill Alexander, who is Bob Ross's. He was his teacher. And are you familiar with Bob Ross,
No.
Joy Painting?
Oh, yeah.
Joy Painting, Fro,
Mm-hmm.
the happy little trees and all that. And what Bill Alexander used to say is, a man cannot create art on not a full stomach.
That's right.
And he was German, so his English wasn't great, but it's very true. I mean, you can say, like, I'm not in this for the money. Like, yeah, but your kids care,
Yeah, yeah,
and it matters.
and your significant other, cares if you're married or some. We have a
Mhm.
lot of candidates who are getting married or are married, and although they're a lot of them are young, a lot of them have someone else to consider, and this is they're investing in the process of becoming a coach, which is an investment, which is something you
Mhm.
also wrote about. So talk
Yes.
to me a little bit about you mentioned that it's worth it, but it's not easy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's certainly not a 4-year degree, that's for sure, huh?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that for a minute,
Yeah.
okay? Let's talk about what does it cost? Well, is getting a 4-year degree even a good idea? Let's say that it's free
Hmm.
for some reason, right? Is getting a degree in exercise science a good idea? And what I found talking to the gyms was that it was considered a bonus if you had one, but regardless of if you had one or not, you were probably going to need one. The actual figure is that so 14 out of the 23 gyms that I actually asked this question and got kind of a straight response. Some people were this one kind of threw people off, so that not everyone kind of answered in a direct way. 14 out of the 23 had said that you're going to need a certification anyway. And I don't know why that is. So, I had asked a couple people, some people said insurance purposes. You have to have insurance. You can't get insurance if you just have an exercise science degree. You got to have a certification. Otherwise, you're not getting insurance.
Random.
So some people, some of them said that. But if you're 14 out of 23, you're going to need a certification anyway. So one could argue, well, if you get a degree in exercise science, you're going to get a certification along the way anyway. That's standard. Most people, from my experience talking to people, if you get a degree in exercise science, you're going to get a CSCS from the NSCA anyway, along your journey. Okay.
Hmm.
So maybe that's actually something you want to do, but why do that? Why not cut straight to the certification? And I'll tell you the main reason why you should just cut straight to the certification, because college isn't cheap.
Hmm.
And even when you're 18, time is not cheap.
Hmm.
Time is very expensive. And if you are, I'll just go through the numbers here. If you're looking at a four-year degree, which really a 4-year degree is really a 4 to 6 year degree for most degrees, for most 4-year degrees.
Hmm.
So if you're going to go get a degree in exercise science for 4 years, the absolute minimum that you're going to pay for 4 years is 13 grand.
Yeah.
And that is an in-state public institution for as cheap as you can get for 4 years. The most you're going to pay is at a private school for $232,000, which is, it's a lot of money. And, you know, if you've never done a return on investment analysis, that, you know, you might just look at it and go, well, those numbers, I can make that back. Okay, well, let's talk about what that actually means. So if you get a 4-year degree in exercise science at an in-state university, the average cost you're going to pay is $41,612. And, you know, that doesn't sound like an insane amount, but what is that over 10 years? Over 10 years, that's $4,000 a year. That's $346 a month, and that's assuming zero interest. So if you can't make an extra $346 a month for 10 straight years, you're not going to pay that back,
right,
until later, right? And even if you turn that into 20 years, you got to make an extra almost $200 a month. Again, this assumes zero interest.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, if you want to get a petroleum engineering degree and make $130,000 a year in an oil rig, that's going to work. You're going to get that paid off real quick. But for someone only making $50,000 a year, if they're doing well as a certified personal trainer, you're going to be hard pressed to pay that back real quick. So what I learned from this is you just need to cut straight to it. So you either need to get a personal training certification under one of the main ones that I went through, or that I talk about here, ISSA, ACE, or NASM. And that's going to get you at least in the door to start, you know, personal training and being with clients and just making money. So those are gonna be a lot less expensive. The cheapest one was ISSA for $828. These are all based off of the packages that they put together, which is sort of a start to finish, the educational material, the test itself, the exam, all the things you need to get to go from zero to certification. And that's going to take 5 hours a week for 2 to 4 months. And that was pretty on par with the rest of them. You know, 1,100 for ACE, 1,500 for NASM, both about the same rate. Some take a little longer. So about 2 to 4 months. So in 2 to 4 months, you know, that's a lot shorter than 4 to 6 years, and it's a lot cheaper. You know, you can pay that on a part-time job. And then you get into personal training, you get your foot in the door, and you can get started with clients right away, you know, in 2 to 4 months. It's not bad.
Yeah. When I have candidates who speak to me about becoming an apprentice at the gym, a lot of them have these certifications. And one thing they're very frustrated with is that they expected that once they, you know, got their NASM certification, CSCS, ISSA, when they achieved it, they were waiting to have a job, and they find themselves applying to gyms, no job, or a job that they can't stand, where they can't really practice coaching the way they want to. The bureaucracy in the gym is, you know, it's all about selling memberships instead of putting the client first. And, you know, people go through this whole process, spend this money, and then wind up with no job, or a job that they're miserable with. And, you know, they've already gone into debt because they went to school and, you know, just sort of got a degree, didn't have any direction, became a personal trainer, and are frustrated about their position. And now they're, you know, that's why they were so enthusiastic about the apprenticeship and the, you know, the pipeline that we've built for coach development. And you're a mentor in the prep course, so you're probably seeing a lot of these types of candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, having been a part of the prep course, I think it's definitely the best way to become educated on the material, to practice the material, to actually have to be able to interact with people who have gone through the same process you're going through. And I mean, I failed the platform 3 times. I failed the platform test 3 times, and I didn't pass it until the 4th. and I look back and like I've got a coach who I'm working with in my gym as an employee, and I like, I look at the progress that he's making in like 6 months, and
Mhm.
and he actually just joined the prep course, and I just wish that it had existed for me when I was doing it, because it is so much faster. It is streamlined. It is exactly what you need to get to where you're going.
Yes.
Um, and let's pull all this back together again. It's not easy.
Mhm.
None of this stuff's easy. It's hard. You got
Mhm.
to think. You got to pay attention. You got to do research. Um, it's not a gimme. If you show up and if you pay your fee for the course and you show up, you're not getting an A.
Mhm.
You gotta do well. You have to care about what you're doing and try hard. Um, and the stuff you just brought up too, that I mean, that's all qualitative stuff too. We haven't even talked about that. We only, I mean, until you brought it up, we mostly just went through the numerical analysis.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So the starting strength education, to kind of get back to the point about the cost, it's a little more expensive. The
Mhm.
analysis that I did, it's going to be about $6,000 on average. Okay, a little more expensive than your other personal training certifications. It's going to take about 2 years, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. If you work harder and smarter, it's going to be shorter.
Mhm.
Um, and again, that's all numerical. So let's really dig into some of the qualitative differences. Other
Mhm.
than you're not dealing with sales as much, if you show up to a starting strength gym, it's all provided for you.
Mhm.
You're not really selling. You're going to show up and you're going to work with people who want to see the number on the bar go up, the weight on the bar go up, and
Mhm.
see the number go up and get stronger. They want the exact product that you are selling, that you are trying to teach them.
Mhm.
And when I say you're selling to them, you're not. It's already pre-sold because of the excellent marketing and all the branding that has been done with Asgard and starting strength over the years. And so they're showing up ready to go. Okay, day one is 3x5. Let's do it.
Mhm.
Squats. Let's go. You
Mhm.
don't have to. You don't have to fight tooth and nail to get them to buy squat shoes and
Right.
to make sure they want to do squats and they're going to squat below parallel, because
Yeah.
a lot of them get it. That's what they want. They're hungry for
Right.
weight on the bar, for progress,
Mhm.
for competent professional instruction.
Mhm. And
Whereas if
the coaches are just spending their time coaching.
yeah,
They're coaches, they're mentors, they're doing what they love and what they're skilled for. And they don't have to do any of the crap that they were doing in Globo gyms. And the people who are coming to starting strength gyms are seeking the gyms out and they're bought in already. And it's a completely different training environment. It's a completely different system. And now with this pipeline between the apprenticeship process and the prep course, we've really made this a streamlined process where someone comes in on one end as an apprentice, gets the support through the prep course, tests out and gets a job at a starting strength gym. And this is a far cry from what the rest of the fitness industry is doing with their
mhm.
certifications, which is basically just they're just selling certifications, not careers.
Well, and really the common consensus is that the certification is the starting point. I'm talking about the other ones, not the
Yeah.
starting strength credential.
Yes.
The other personal training, that's the starting point. That is, excuse me, that is now you're in the door. Now this is where you're going to start to learn about what you actually need to do.
Mm.
So that's day one. With the starting strength credential, you're way past that. Like
Mhm.
you said, people are coming to you. Like I said, people are coming to me. You
Mhm.
um, and that's why I think framing this is really important. If you are just starting your personal training situation and you just want to get something really quick and get it done and get going, and you don't mind sales, then that's fine. But if you want exactly what you're talking about, where you're just focusing on coaching the barbell lifts, and you want to work with people who are hungry for progress, you're going to get your certification, and or not even, you're going to apprentice, get in the prep course, go to a starting strength gym, and immediately you're way ahead of all those other people
Yes.
who already have their personal training certifications and are struggling day after day to get people in.
Mhm. And you talked about the cost of becoming a starting strength coach. What did you calculate in those costs? The online prep course, the seminar? Because
That's a good question.
mhm,
So it's three parts. It is the seminars, for which there will be two. You're going to go to one seminar just to learn. You're going to go to the second seminar to test.
yeah,
Both of those are included, and it's the equipment, which is going to be everything for a single setup, for you to be able to train yourself and to train others. And it's also coaching under a starting strength coach and the prep course.
mhm,
If you want to learn quickly, you need to talk to a starting strength coach. You need to get mentorship from them. And if
mhm,
that means that you need to pay $300, $400, $500 a month in order for them to be able to coach you and teach you things, or have them as an online coach where you can have mentorship, or do the prep course where you can have direct mentorship immediately, that you need to do that. That's important. So those are the three primary parts: equipment, coaching and prep course, and then the seminars.
mhm. And a lot of these candidates already have their own equipment, or they're training at home, or they have access to a gym. Um, there's no shortage of resources in the starting strength community in terms of education and access to education. So if you can't get to an apprenticeship or mentorship in person, you can go online with a starting strength coach and you join the prep course. So we've got all of these avenues for people who want to dive deeper into this, and who are serious about this as a career. And I think the people who are doing the starting strength method already understand the value of it, because it's not, they're not getting a certification or engaged in some sort of random fitness that everyone else is, and it's sort of proprietary, and you're competing against another trainer who's doing the same workout you are, but he's adding burpees, and just these random salesy competitive settings for coaches. You are going to be skilled in this method in particular, and because it's so sought after and it's so high in demand, um, it yields a quality of life that you can get paid to coach and do what you love, and you can make a living with it, which is one of the unique factors. And really the investment is not as big as committing to 4-year degree, coming out, and like you said, usually 4 years. Oh, by the time you figure out what you want, you've got to take some more credits, you got to add on, it becomes 5 years, and then you get out and you don't really have a job. And if they just cut straight to it, like you said, find that mentorship, join the apprenticeship, get into the prep course, commit to becoming a coach, it's going to pay big dividends for them.
I've talked to a couple of people who are at commercial gyms, and it can be predatory.
Yeah.
A lot of it's extremely competitive inside the gym. The starting strength gyms are not like that, because you're just getting paid anyway. You're not getting commission to every sale that you make, every person you bring in. It's like you said, it's just the coaching. Everyone is there for the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm. And actually, when did you become a starting strength coach?
October 18th, 2020.
2020.
Oh,
And
that's actually not accurate. It would have been in November of 2020.
you became a coach, and how soon afterwards did you open your gym? What is the name of your gym?
My gym is Black Metal Strength Training. It's in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. I actually had opened it prior. So I had one location starting in July of 2018. And then I had actually moved locations while getting ready for the seminar in 2020, which is my current location now. And I've been there for about a year.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. And you are mentoring. You've got
Yep.
apprentices as well, and your apprentices are now joining the prep course, correct? And what advice do you give them when you lay this out to them? I know that you were really emphasizing the prep course, um,
Yeah.
because that's really the final piece. I have a lot of people that don't really understand its value. They think it's going to be some sort of online program that's not interactive, and I tell them it's a very interactive community.
Yes, and it's as interactive as you want to be. If you want to sit in the corner and do nothing, that's up to you. But that's not how it's supposed to be. You need to be interacting, and all the people who are doing well are interacting a lot. And it's extremely interactive, especially, we have discussion meetings at regular intervals where we talk through key points that maybe is not, it's not the explicit focus of the modules that we have and the lessons that we have in the system, but they're very important topics to go over, but very interactive.
Can you give, if somebody is not familiar with what the prep course is, could you give us a general overview of the prep course? What is
Sure.
it?
So the prep course is it's a couple different components, but essentially it comes down to you have lectures, which are videos that you see online, and those are in the form of modules or units. And at the end of every unit, there is a coaching assignment and a written assignment. The written assignment will have a series of questions pertaining to the unit. The coaching assignment will be similar, but it'll be actually hands-on, where you have to videotape yourself doing actual coaching. And as a result, you have to have clients. More is better. You have to have someone who can power clean. That's essential. And at some point, somebody will have to power snatch as well, because that's a critical part of the stirring shriek method as well. If you get someone who can't power clean, so you have those parts, and then you have the mentor who is going to grade those assignments. You have the Slack system where you are going to interact with the other students on there. Every coaching assignment is to be posted to one of the channels, which people then comment on, and that's really important, because that's a place that you can be vulnerable and you can show stuff that you're not good at, that maybe, and I'm not perfect, and I've had videos, or I've had times where I've been like, ooh, like, I'd be kind of embarrassed if that was posted online. This is the place to post that online. This is the place to be embarrassed and be vulnerable and have people make recommendations so that you can grow as a coach.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. We
Yes.
encourage making mistakes and learning from them. And that's, I noticed that in the Slack channel, the community is incredible. People are so supportive of one another. And I love seeing everyone in their different locations posting videos of their trainees, and watching everyone give feedback. And it's very supportive, and it makes it okay to make mistakes. It makes it okay to not know. And you mentioned the discussions that you have. I think these are calls where, if the students are struggling with a certain topic, they'll offer a call and a discussion about it. And I think that that's very valuable to preparing the candidates for the oral review, the oral exam at the end. So if those who are not familiar, they have to pass a platform first where you demonstrate that you can get people moving in line with the model. And then it's followed up by the oral exam. And I think that the prep course is absolutely critical to their success.
Yes. The oral is not easy. It's a different kind of difficult compared to the platform. But if you cannot articulate a lot of the issues that come up, you're not going to be able to pass the platform. And what I tell my students is, if you cannot write down and think, on a computer what you need to say and refine it, and if that doesn't come out good, your ability to say it on hard mode, which is orally, is going to be deficient. So this stuff, you have to be able to explain this to people. You have to, like I said, you have to get vulnerable and be willing to make mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes anyway. And it better be when you can learn from it, and not when you either hurt a client, or when you're at the oral board and now you're going to have to study again and do all this other stuff that's going to get prepped for that again. The oral, being able to explain this stuff in language that anyone can understand, is the key difference between us and one of the key differences between us and a lot of the other certification holders. That one of the things that I've seen in primarily in the scientific community, of people who are extremely intelligent, and I'm not talking about people who are just smart, because there's a lot of people who are just smart, but I'm talking about so I worked with someone who, he's one of the lead, he's like the guy you go to if you need to talk about metallurgy and steel making in a furnace, because I used to work at a steel mill. And he, like, if you go to any any metallurgical community and you say this man's name, they will know who he is. And his ability, he was so smart, and he was so capable of explaining this stuff in simple, clear language. That was how well he knew it. That he could take complex conversations, complex discussions, and simplify them to the point where anyone could understand it. And that's really what you need to be able to do. If you can't explain to your mom or to your doctor or to your 11-year-old sister why squatting is safe for the knees, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
When this really helps with client retention. You want to hold on to your members, to your customer. You have to be able to, educate them and explain why they're doing it the way they're doing it and why it's safe, and absolutely speak to, the healthcare professionals involved. If you get somebody with an injury, so that they understand, that you're a professional and you're skilled, and that they can trust you, and that you have their best interest in mind. You'll take good care of them. And I think it makes the coaches a lot more confident to be able to communicate, freely with anyone, like you said, in very simple, basic ways. Because our clients are, your average mom and dad. In addition to just people who want to get strong for sports, we're really coaching people who are midlife and older, and who are doing this for health.
Yep. Yeah. And really the key intersection of all of these people, it's not education level, or it's not really education level. It's a characteristic of seeing a direct result that they want, of the simplicity, the fact that they know the difficult thing that's correct is going to work well for them, not the easy thing that maybe is sort of okay. That seems to be the unifying characteristic. And as a result, you're going to get, we do have demographics, of course, and certainly those people are there, but you're going to get people who are extremely intelligent, as well as just average people, and obviously, simply by the diction average, more people are going to be average than not.
And the things that you listed in the cost of becoming a starting strength coach, the things that they'll be doing, like the seminar and the prep course, they're so valuable that it feels like, the seminar, people don't realize the seminar is a 3-day seminar, and it's intensive, and there's no downtime. Like you're getting,
I remember when I went to one of the seminars, someone had asked me, "Oh, well, like, what are you gonna see anything?" And because I was gonna go to New York a while back to go to that one, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna see anything?" I'm like, "No, you don't get it. Like, you show up, you go to the seminar, you go to your hotel, you go to the sleep, you wake up, you go to the seminar, you go to your hotel, you go to sleep, you go home, and then you're on a plane and you're back to wherever you're from. It is nonstop. You get some lunch. Lunch is nice. You get to see some stuff.
Yeah.
Lunch is nice. You get to hang out with Rip a little bit and all the other personalities in the starting strength community. But I mean, there has never been a better time to become a starting strength coach, in terms of both information availability, training, and its direct outcomes financially, and just your ability to be successful. I mean, even when I was looking at this not 5 years ago, when I was starting to get serious about this process, a lot of this stuff didn't exist. And I only see it getting better.
That's right.
Every day that we go forward is it's more streamlined. It is the more information is available. We're constantly learning stuff to make things better, how to explain things more clearly, how to get from point A to point B faster, more efficiently, more effectively. So if you are thinking about getting your starting strength coach your credential, there's never been a better time to start the process.
Yes, and who knows, Andrew could be your mentor, and then you'd really score. So actually,
you better be ready to work.
I think the people who want to become starting strength coaches are the types of people that like hard work, because they've already been under the bar and they know the value. So what are the titles of the articles, and where could they find them?
So the one that is specifically about how you should become an SSC. The guide that I made is called A Chronological Guide to Becoming an SSC. Both of these articles, by the way, are going to be on the Starting Strength articles distribution, just the Starting Strength site. Second one about the costs and financial outcomes is called The Costs and Outcomes of Coaching Education. And again, those are both on the site. I'd like to think they're pretty easy to read. The cost analysis one's a little more dry, but if you're about to spend $200,000 on an education, you're gonna have to wade through some dry reading. So it's good for you.
Yes, well, the people who really are looking for this information, I think will find your articles really informative. I enjoyed reading them, and
Thank
I
you.
share them with all of our candidates who kind of already intuitively know, they said, yeah, they've either been personal trainers who have experienced the, lack of opportunity in front of them, or people who just know that they need a career change because, they didn't do the thing that they loved coming out of college, and they're in debt, and they know from what they've seen that Starting Strength is growing, and the gyms are a big opportunity for people who want to become coaches and make a living doing the thing that they love, which is helping people get stronger and healthier. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you? I know you're on Instagram and you've got a website.
I am on Instagram, and I do a website. I'm at blackmetalstrengthtraining.com. And if you can directly email me at blackmetalstrengthtraining@gmail.com. I'll respond to any emails that people send me as long as they're genuine. And I'm happy to talk to people who are either looking for coaching or looking for a little bit of help with guidance on what they, maybe they're not sure of what they want. They want a little more reassurance or some guidance, or even just any questions they might have about anything we've talked about today or anything about being an SSC. I'd be happy. Like I said, I'll respond to any email I get.
So you became an SSC, gosh, less than 2 years ago?
Less than a year ago.
Less than a year ago, and you've already accomplished so much. It's really an example of just a small example of how once you achieve the credential and you become skilled in coaching the Starting Strength method, the doors open for you. And I'm really excited to see what's next for you. And if anyone has questions about the prep course or becoming a coach and want to talk numbers, this is your man.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, in the last year, I made a lot of progress. And, if you think the last year's been big, then get ready for the next couple.
That's right.
I got some plans. So
good. We'll be checking back with you on those plans. Thank you so much for joining me today. And
it was my pleasure. Thank you.
I look forward to speaking to you soon, catching up.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.